Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us today. My name is Dr. Craig Tiedemann. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management and Operations for the Holzschuh College of Business Administration here at Niagara University. And we're so glad to have you all here today to talk about our program, Niagara Business, Dual Degrees and Experiential Opportunities. We've got a great program tonight. A lot of students and some other faculty, right? And I think it's a great way to learn more about us as a college, what it would be like if you choose to come study here and the HCBA. And I want to kick it off because we have a lot planned to discuss today. So just to kind of quickly look at what we're going to cover. So I'm going to first start out with our dean, Dr. Mark Frascatore. He's going to give a brief welcome, talking a little bit about the college, and kind of, again, giving you a nice welcome joining us here in our college. Then we're going to turn over and pivot to talking about our exciting NU Accelerated Scholars Program that we're launching this year in the College of Business, right? It's something that we're really proud of, and it's giving a unique opportunity for incoming students that are, interested, looking towards, graduate opportunities in the future and other things that go along with that program. And then the bulk of our time today, we're going to cover all the different dimensions of experiential opportunities and programming we have here in the college, right? I think like the fun stuff, but also some of the most important opportunities for learning, right? Because there's a lot of great things that we're doing, whether it's study abroad, clubs, mentorships, internships, other types of engagement with industry, lots of great things. And that's where especially our students are going to talk about how that has been so impactful for them, setting them up for success into the future. So without further ado, I'm going to stop presenting and I'm going to turn it over to our dean, Dr. Mark Frascatore, to give his welcome on behalf of the college.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Tiedemann, and welcome everybody. I'm Mark Frascatore. I'm Dean of the Holzschuh College of Business. There's a lot going on today, and there are far more important people than me here tonight. So I will keep this very brief and give you a very quick welcome. I'm always really excited to meet prospective students and their families. I love to talk about what we're doing here. We have so much going on. We're growing. And, and we have great students too. And I want to hear their stories, and it's great that they're here to share their stories with you as well. If I can say one thing before I turn it back over, we do value our small classes and interaction with faculty. I mean, that is our hallmark, and I think you're going to see that here today. And I'll just let the people who are on the front lines talk about it. So again, welcome, and I'll turn it right back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Frascatore. And I couldn't agree more with everything you said. And again, we'll even cover some of that today in our program. So again, kind of like one of the things we're most excited for here in the college is our Accelerated Scholars Program, right? So to speak more about that, I want to welcome my colleague and friend, Dr. Chris Principe, our Associate Dean for Curriculum and Program Development, also Associate Professor of Economics, to join me and to kind of talk more about this program. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Dr. Principe, for joining us. Maybe just to kick things off, can we maybe kind of introduce what is this, right? What is Accelerated Scholars? I know, many people who are encouraged to apply and consider this would have received emails from Niagara regarding the Accelerated Scholars Program. So I think that makes the most sense to start off there. What is it?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tiedemann, and welcome everyone. Yes, this is an exciting new program at Niagara. It allows our top students seamless entry into our graduate business programs. We have 3 graduate business programs. We have our MBA with a variety of specialty areas. We also have our master's in finance and our master's in accounting. So our accelerated scholars get automatic entry into this program, providing satisfactory academic progress, of course. And as part of that, they are allowed to take some courses while they're an undergrad, which allows them to finish the graduate portion sooner.
Perfect. No, and I think that's a real advantage to our students. So if we're thinking about what are the big benefits, I know you've kind of talked on that a little bit, but what are like the main benefits? Like if you were a prospective student, right? Like in the many we have in the audience today, right? What would be the things that stand out to you the most about this? If we're thinking about like our 4+1 and 3+1, and maybe even talking about 4+1 or 3+1 for accounting, just in case people aren't aware of that. So some of our accelerated pathways we have into graduate studies here in the Holzschuh College of Business.
Sure. Yeah, when we say a 4+1, we mean you can finish your graduate studies in one academic year. So perhaps a fall semester and a spring, and perhaps a summer, which is faster than if you were not in the Accelerated Scholars Program, because you will take some grad courses while you are an undergrad that will actually fulfill some undergrad requirements as well as some graduate core requirements. And we have a wonderful advisor for our 4+1 students, Elaine Moyer, who works with you on an individual basis to help you identify the program that meets your career goals and helps you select classes. And I think the biggest advantage is being able to finish your graduate studies early and get right on to your career, earning your full-time salary. And it's also seamless. So you don't need to apply again. You don't need to get your letters of recommendation. That is all waived. And your undergraduate transcript is already uploaded because you're an NU student. So it's very low stress to transition from the undergrad curriculum to the grad curriculum.
Exactly. No, I think that's something that, you don't have to worry about this later on when you're like your head is focused on internships, right? Doing well in classes, all the other important things that are important to have, like the primary focus of your attention, right? The fact that you don't have to worry about that application process, it's already done, that box is checked. I think it's such a great relief for students, especially again when they're that busy time of the year, thinking about that next step, what that future looks like. And I think a lot of our programs, whether it's again our MBA program that we've revised and has new dynamic content focusing on the future that employers are looking for. Certainly, our master's in finance is well set up to help students that are thinking about taking like the CFA exam, right, and other types of certifications that will really help to elevate their potential and their attractiveness to employers in the finance industry. Or again, for accountants, right, our master's in accounting, which I know some of our students here are interested in. I know Alexis is going into that program, right? That's all designed towards preparing you for success in the CPA. Our MBA in accounting is for the CGMA. And so again, lots of great things that are going to help really unlock your potential, and that this is helping make that pathway even simpler for you, right, and easier. And I think, beyond that, this is just the first step, right, for what the Accelerated Scholars Program can be. I know that Dr. Principe, the dean, and myself, right, and many other faculty are really exciting to think of this as not just, an easier pathway or like a more seamless pathway towards getting your graduate degree here at Niagara as an undergraduate student as well, but also, right, to provide like the types of activities, like a learning community type environment, right, where there's going to be opportunities for engagement, much of like what we're going to hear about today, right, that can maybe be specially, provided for those students. So maybe, do you have any like a sneak peek? I know we're in the early stages, right? This is a new exciting program initiative we're launching this year, but things maybe, Dr. Principe, that we might be trying to do as we go forward in building out the Accelerated Scholars Program for those who are participating.
Sure. Yes. I would like to see it include our mentorship program. We already have a wonderful mentorship program, but to make sure we include all of our accelerated scholars, I would like to see some guest speaker events or perhaps a meet and greet before an event just for our accelerated scholars. Some internships reserved for our accelerated scholars. I am envisioning, we have already in talks with admissions, and they are very much on board with creating, that was very well said, a learning community. So yes, it's a pathway to your graduate degree, but we give you some extra opportunities while you're during an undergrad as well. I know Dean Frascator and I have traveled with students. I know that's also coming later in this presentation, so I don't want to steal that thunder, but perhaps some experiential opportunities like that as well.
Exactly. No, and I think that's something that hopefully you would have received an email, right, inviting you to apply for the NU Accelerated Scholars Program. That should have been, like from an NU email, right, like from Niagara University. Certainly, if you have questions about that, you can always reach out to one of us, reach out to your admissions counselor. They would be more than happy to talk about this further, right, or connect you to the right people. So again, I really hope that you're intrigued by this, that you're applying. Because again, it's a great opportunity, something that we're really excited about for the future. So thank you, Dr. Principe. And actually, speaking about study abroad, that's kind of the first of our major forms of experiential learning and opportunities in the college that I want to pivot towards to talk about. In fact, I think this is one of the coolest things that we do, and it's really thanks to the leadership of our dean, Dr. Frascator. So if I can kind of welcome back again the dean, and then again 2 of our amazing students joining us today. We have Chase Luley, who's a senior. He's graduating with a double major in economics and finance, a double minor in data analytics and accounting. So he's a real slouch as a student, as you can tell, right? And then also too, I have Shannon Sirzinga, who's joining us, and Shannon is currently in our MBA program. And also, again, before that she was a double Purple Eagle, so she was an undergrad student both in the College of Hospitality, Tourism, Sports Management, but also here in the College of Business. So if I can welcome the 3 of you, and I'm going to maybe kick things off to talk about our study abroad. I think the best person who can speak to this is the dean. So Dr. Frascator, can you talk a little bit about like our short-term study abroad programs, what they are, how they're designed, and why these are such a great opportunity for our students?
Yeah, thank you. As Dr. Tiedemann said, this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. And I'll start by saying that my greatest regret from college is that I did not do a study abroad. And to this day, I wish I had. I mean, what other opportunity do you have to go to a different country, to experience things and to do things in a way that they're set up for you? And in some cases, like these short trips that we do, you have an actual guide there with you. So as Dr. Tiedemann said, we've had a number of different short-term programs that we send students abroad on. And I think every single student should do this at some point. Some people do 3 of them, Shannon, or more. So yeah, once they do it the first time, they want to do it again and again. We do these, they're business courses. They count for credit. We do fundraise for them. So we do subsidize to as much as we can the costs to facilitate this for the students. And just as a couple of examples, in the past few years, I've led several trips to Italy and to London, England. And just this past March, I led a trip to Rome, Italy over our spring break for 9 days. And we studied the business of Italy and business of Rome. And we visited places like the Bank of Italy. We did a cooking class, the organization of banks, all kind and businesses, a startup business, Peroni brewery, wineries. And we do all of these visits as a group, and we have experts along the way to tell us about this stuff and to give us an education. Last year, it almost sounds like a fake trip, but Dr. Principe and I led a trip to Montepulciano in Tuscany, and it was called the Food Systems of Italy trip. So our job in this trip was actually to go to like see how cheese was made and taste it, do another cooking class, truffle hunt, just eat a lot of, and we had a different meal every night, homemade meal every night in the villa that we stayed in. And it was just a terrific experience. And it's not all fun, but again, we visit businesses and it's a real class. And as I said, also we have classes going to London. We've had classes go to Asia, different parts of Asia, South America. And these are the types of things that I think all students should do. It really does make a difference. I've had students who've never been out of Niagara County before, much less been on a plane, and suddenly the next day they're looking at the Colosseum in Rome. And it's a life-changing experience that everybody, I think, should participate in. So that's my quick overview and my plug for it. I'd love to hear the student experiences as well and know what they got from it too.
No, I mean, I think that like what you ended with there, Dean Frascator, is actually a great transition to when I start talking about with Chase. Because I know, like, I've talked to Chase a lot. He's, again, a student of mine. And Chase, I think that you're such a great example of the transformative potential of these trips in terms of like how it changes who we are, who students are as a person. I feel like you like emerged a whole new person through that experience of going on these short-term study abroad trips with Dean Frascator and Dr. Principe and and others. So I'm wondering, I don't want to speak for you. So I'm wondering if you could potentially talk about, because you've, just like, Shannon's gone on 3, you've gone on 2 of these trips, right? You've also gone to London, I believe, right? And so I'm wondering if you could speak to how these trips have changed you as a person, right? What's like just kind of talk about how it's impacted you and your development.
Oh, that's a great question, Dr. Tiedemann. Honestly, it was a phenomenal experience, both trips. That's actually where I met Shannon, was in Italy. I was, probably 18 years old, just finished up my freshman year, and saw an opportunity and figured, you know what, why not? Let's see what happens. And by far is probably one of the top 10 best decisions I can say I've made. It really built a whole new level of confidence in myself. I'm not sure about anyone else here in the meeting, but never really was that great with directions. I've got a bit of a bad habit of wandering off. So I've kind of got lost a little bit.
No.
Well, I prefer to think of it as taking a little detour. Only problem was that detour might have been unplanned. But you know what? At the end of the day, once the initial worry of, where am I, kind of subsides and you get your bearings, I found my way back to the group. I remember Mark had to go back and get me in the Vatican, which to this day, I'm sure he remembers it better than I do. But was honestly a great experience. It helped build some confidence and helped me make some lifelong friends. Uh, One of the students I went on the London trip with, his name was Jeff, and I was actually the best man at his wedding last year. So it's a great experience. Couldn't recommend it more.
No, I agree. I think, thank you, Chase. I know like basically all of my students have done at least one trip with the dean, right? Often are like, hey, can I sign up again next year? Right? Because these trips usually take place in our spring semester, either right before the spring semester starts, during spring break, or right after the spring semester is over. Kind of the goal here is to make these accessible to everybody. And a lot of people think that you can't do study abroad for the whole semester. Now, Shannon, I know has, right? But many people think they can't. But we make it possible for everybody, right? By taking it at a time where it's not going to intervene with the entire semester, right? Or it's not in the summer where people are working, doing internships, right? It's trying to make sure that this is a possibility for everybody. So, Shannon, on that point, I'm wondering if I can, because you've done 3 study, you're the study abroad expert. If not the dean, it's yourself, right? And so I'm wondering if you could talk about how these different experiences, like the recent Rome trip, or maybe others that you've gone on, right? How are these perfect for students that maybe have never studied abroad before, never traveled abroad, or maybe think it's impossible for them? You've seen the whole range of possibilities that are here at Niagara and in the College of Business. So I wonder if you could speak about that briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to echo what Chase and Dr. Frascator have said, it's such a wonderful experience, and I wouldn't trade my time overseas for the world. I think back to, I was a junior in 2022, was the first time I signed up to go abroad. I went with Dean Frascator and Chase. We went to Italy and we traveled around, and it was my first time out of the country. I really had no idea what to expect. I hadn't really left New York at that point, so it was a whole new ball game for me. And it was the perfect time too, because we were there for 2 weeks. So, it was, you got your feet wet a little bit. You got to explore everything, all the cool sites. You got to see, we saw the Colosseum, we saw the Duomo, we toured Tuscany. It was beautiful and it was amazing. And it was the perfect time to, it was following the semester. So we weren't worried about classes or finals or any tests like that. And being able to go on that trip really lit a fire under me. I said, I want to do this again. And then 3 months later, I was on a flight to Australia. And Dean Frascator mentioned he just led a trip to Rome, which I was fortunate enough to be part of again, and I loved every second of it. These short-term trips are really great for someone like me, who I was really involved on campus. I was in club sports, I was working, I was doing a whole bunch of other things. So it was great to find a set amount of time where I could not only experience a new country and travel and without having to worry about my duties back home piling up and piling up. So would not trade it for the world. I loved every second.
No, thank you, Shannon. And in fact, if you want to take a brief tour, a vision of like what that trip was like that Dr. Principe, right, Shannon, the dean, were just recently on, I would say check out our Instagram for the College of Business, because you can actually see this pretty incredible reel. And I'm saying that not because I made it, but because Shannon actually put it together. You can see, join Monty along Monty's journey all throughout, the Eternal City in Rome. It was great work. So again, you definitely have to check that out. And I think the other thing too, along what everyone's talked about, when we think about our these like study abroad trips, right? So again, these are, as the dean said, these are classes, right? But like we have a business focus. So you have like, it's more than just, of course, exploring the culture, touring, seeing these incredible sites. That's a huge part. That's a huge draw. But we're also bringing in business content, right? This goes towards, completing your degree, right? So what better way to do that? And furthermore, often, thanks to the dean's leadership, we often are, like working with people from industry to be able to get financial support for our students, right? To be able to reduce their costs. Again, trying to make this accessible to everybody, right? So anybody who wants to study abroad, right, we're going to make it possible, right? Finding ways to do that. So as much as, again, all this discussion is just phenomenal in study abroad, I mean, I want to move on now to talking about mentorships and internships. And I'm going to, reach out to, again, like two other great students. So we have Brett Verrill, who's a junior in management, concentration, and supply chain. And then also we have Alexis Kadlacek, who's a senior accounting student and is going to be going into our master's in accounting program starting next year. So before kind of reaching out to have them talk about their experiences, I want to just say a few brief things about both our mentorship and our internship program, right? So here in the Holzschuh College of Business, we're always trying to put our students with touch points with industry, right? We want you from day one thinking about that future, right? And making sure that you're going to have the best success possible based on what your goals and aspirations will be or may be. Right. So we do that in a couple different ways. Certainly, we have a great career expo, both one at the university level in the spring, but here in the College of Business, we have our own Meet the Accounting and Business Professionals event that takes place in September. And we want all of our students, even freshmen, going there, because that way, even if they're not thinking about internships, jobs yet, it's just feeling comfortable, right? So when you go talk to somebody working in industry, you're not feeling a little anxious or nervous because you've done this before, right? You did it with low stakes back as freshmen. Looking to that sophomore year, we really want students to take part in our mentorship program. And it's something we're super proud about, right? What we do is we have some of our faculty members, our Professor Yaz Sarkis, who's a faculty fellow, and then Mr. Phil Cantonese, our director of centers. They together, what they do is students will apply to be a part of our mentorship program in the early fall. And then from there, those two, Professor Sarkis and Mr. Cantonese, work together to find the perfect match of someone from industry to link up with our students, right? Thinking about what field do they want to go in? What are they hoping to do in that field, right? And then we're going to go out and do the legwork to connect you with, again, people who are high-level executives, right? These are people with lots of experience, so much knowledge, wisdom that they want to pass along, as well as connecting their mentee to their professional social network, right? And then the students are able to, meet with their mentor, whether it's, on campus, if they, want to do off campus over Zoom, whatever they're comfortable with, which works best with both of their schedules, right? So it's accommodating to our students. And this is, while it's a year-long program, these are lifelong relationships, right? That have huge payoff for our students. I know we have some students who've talked about how, they did this one year, maybe early on, sophomore, junior year, and they still are, again, reaching out, like meeting up with their mentor, right? This is something that's going to have huge dividends for their future. So that's something that we're really proud of. And then our internship program, again, we want students to do multiple internships, or certainly at least one, right? If we're thinking about whether it's coming off their sophomore year, certainly after their junior year. I know we have good examples of that. I know Alexis has done multiple internships, right? I'm sure others here on the call have done that before, or at least one internship. Again, we often are thinking, after sophomore year, because we want these to be meaningful internships, right? That are not just getting coffee, doing some simple printing, right? It should be connected to your field, right? Connected to what you're going to do in the future. These are going to be paid internships, right? Your time is valuable, right? And it kind of links back to the substance and the importance of those internships. And I think, you know, internships are not just for learning what you like to do, but maybe even Alexis can speak to this. It's also learning what you don't like, or maybe what's not the best fit for you. So it's learning about, you know, what that future looks like and kind of ruling things out along the way. And for our students, ideally, right, if they've done that internship, then going forward, right, they can go into their senior year, right, and they may have one, if not multiple offers from these different internships along the way that they've you know, they made these relationships with. And so they can have them, you know, compete over each other, you know, for our great students, right? And so they're going into that senior year, the job is already lined up, they have that career, they are rest assured, right? And that's leading to, you know, 97% of our students, when they're leaving here in the College of Business, right, they have either, you know, have a great job lined up, or again, they're maybe if they're like looking to, or like, you know, like CPA, for instance, or something along those lines, they're going to keep on staying in grad school to finish off that graduate degree that Dr. Princeby was talking about. So I know I can speak about these great programs, but I'd rather hear from our students, right, who've like experienced these, you know, like hands-on. So Brett, if I can invite you first, can you talk? I know you've done a great internship with West Her, and I'm wondering if you could talk maybe a bit more about that, specifically, you know, how perhaps did the college help with being able to connect you with West Her to make this possible? And just maybe then speaking a bit more about what that experience was like and how it might have prepared you for that future.
Absolutely. First, thank you for having me. The college, so my official title was a parts management intern at one of their Ford stores. The university helped me find the internship, actually by setting up a site visit at their Toyota Williamsville store, back, it was a year ago now. And I got to kind of learn about their whole internship program, and I went and applied online. And then after a nervous month and a half of waiting, I got an email back saying that I got the internship, which was just really great. And it's now led into me, I work for them part-time. It was just a summer 3-month internship, and they hired me part-time, and now it's got me lined up possibly for a job in the future, if I decide I really do want to stay there, which right now it's looking like it.
No, that's fantastic to hear. I know that it's often nerve-wracking, and that's that period of time when you're looking for your internship. But I think if you're thinking about how does this kind of like relate back to your experience, or like in the classroom, right? Like how do you feel like internships help you in terms of thinking about that future outcome?
It's nice to be able to see the things that you're learning through a PowerPoint or a smart board, or just through a lecture, actually boots on the ground inside a warehouse, seeing what's going on and seeing trucks coming in and out. It's nice to actually get to see, touch things, and not just hear it and learn about it.
No, that's such a great observation. You know, I think that for a lot, we all learn in different ways. And I think, you know, often why we like to do, why we promote and prioritize experiential learning, right? Whether it's internships or Brett, you already mentioned like our industry site visits, like the visit we had to West Her, is that it kind of grounds why classrooms matter, right? It talks about how all the stuff we're learning, whether it's in finance or in accounting, economics, marketing, whatever it may be, right? How there's value to this knowledge you're picking up in your classes because it all links back to things that you're going to be doing in the real world, right? With your career, right? And so it shows why it's important to, you know, take those seriously, right? And to get as much as you possibly can from those classes, right? Because it's going to help you be successful in that future career. You know, I think like all fields, right? Internships are super important. But, you know, one field I know is that's especially true is in accounting, right? And I know a lot of our accountants, they're going out and getting at least one, if not two internships, right? It's something that we're really prioritizing. And Alexis is such a great example of that. And so Alexis, you know, I'm hoping maybe you could talk kind of similar type of question as I posed to Brett, talking about how you found your internships, because I know faculty were key in helping you guide you through that process. And also too, like how, like, you know, completing multiple internships was helpful for you and thinking about what was the right future as an accountant for you.
Yeah, so I was super fortunate and lucky that I've actually been able to complete 3 different internships. with two different firms in the Buffalo area throughout my time here. So I was a super ambitious sophomore, so I skipped the mentorship program and just went straight to internship. And so the first internship that I found as a sophomore, I actually found it at the Meet the Accountants and Other Business Professionals night. So it was really a cool opportunity really to meet with different recruiters from different accounting firms or even different other business related employers. So I went with an accounting firm locally in the Buffalo area. It was a very small firm, wasn't quite my fit. So I did one tax season there. I learned that I absolutely love doing the taxes and the tax returns. Personally, I'm a very big math person, so I kind of found my niche. Um, so I was kind of talking with a professor that I'm super close with in the accounting department. Again, it helps having the small class sizes. I'm super close with a lot of my professors, and I have really good relationships with them all. So I was talking to professors kind of that I didn't really quite enjoy my internship, but I really wanted to stay within tax. So he recommended another firm that he thought might be a really good fit for me. And so he got me the contact information. I reached out. I had an on-campus interview, which was really awesome. They came to me, which was really cool. And I've been with them since. I've done so far two tax seasons. And I actually just got a full-time offer, which is super exciting. So it's really nice knowing that I have a job secured once I'm done with school. Um, but yeah, and it's also really nice doing internships. You kind of really learn what you like and you don't like. Of course, there are things like within taxes that I'm not a big fan of, but I've definitely been able to expand other things I do like, such as like business returns, individual returns. But yeah, so it's just really nice that it's Niagara has allowed me to get these opportunities through our Meet the Accounts Day as well as other faculty and professors.
No, and again, major congrats again, like Alexis, like on that job offer. And I think, this is such a great model and example, like to all of our students, right? I mean, all of everybody joining us today is, but the idea of like, you go out there, you get these you secure the internship through the help of like the college, the faculty, other people here on our staff, right? That allows you to, kind of figure out like what you like, right? I mean, I think you can just feel the passion for tax that like through Alexis's comments, right, and sharing her story, and then again like that, how that then translates to like again what this is all about at the end of the day, right? Just like securing that fantastic career, right? That you're going to be happy going to work, investing so much of your time right into that future, right? So I think that's something that we're always trying to promote for our students, and this is two really good examples of so many that we could probably talk about if we had enough time. So I think now I'm going to switch over to talk about another form of experiential opportunity we have in the college, right? So we've talked about experiences, abroad. We've talked about, with industry directly through internships, mentorships. Now I'm going to talk about our clubs, because again, we're always trying to find ways to engage our students, right? And that's both in the classroom and outside in extracurricular matters, right? So we have several great clubs here in the College of Business. I know, for instance, one that's near and dear to my heart is our finance club, as one of the co-advisors for the finance club. We do a lot of great types of programming, such as certainly with Professor Chris Huger, we bring in people from industry. One of our main approaches is to try to like bring people in from different areas of finance with the goal of trying to, we call it like the Day in the Life series, which is trying to expose students to all the different pathways that are out there. So you can think about, hey, do I want an internship in that? Do I want to learn more about that area? We also have done visits, right? Going to M&T Bank's world headquarters here in Buffalo. We've gone to Citibank, fourth largest U.S. headquarters here, which is also in Buffalo. And we're always looking at more things we could do, such as taking students to New York City, right? For like a whirlwind trip, because we're not that far away by flight. That's just one club. I know that the NU Marketing Association, NUMA, has been incredibly active, right? They're probably one of the most active, engaged clubs here on campus. And they're putting on different types of programming. I know like one of their big events and activities is related to the National Grocers Association competition. And I know Dominic's going to speak about that in a little bit. I know that, like besides NUMA, we also have our CEO club, which has been, kind of like, starting back up this year and is really, I think, has great potential as we look forward. So our CEO Club is designed for aspiring entrepreneurs, amongst our students. The idea of like trying to build a network of other people who are interested in starting their own business or thinking about that for the future, right? To kind of like help support each other, being led again by our faculty with Dr. McNabb. In accounting, we have Beta Alpha Psi, and I see Alexis, I believe, actually is rocking her Beta Alpha Psi shirt today. So thank you for that. And again, it's both an honor society / again a club focused on accounting. And I know others are in that group. I know Chase is a Beta Alpha Psi member, right? I think maybe there are others too on the call that are on that. And again, like they do a lot of great stuff, right? They have a lot of educational or service commitments, right? Kind of reaching out to the community relating to accounting, certainly other types of student development. They've actually collaborated with Finance Club in the past, right? With like we bring in speakers because accounting and finance are kind of highly interrelated, and we have a lot of people who are in both groups, right? And I know they've actually done trips. I know like last year, Professor Winter took a group down to Dallas for the Beta Alpha Psi conference. So that's another great group that we have on campus. And we have others, right? I know like we have SHRM, if you're interested in human resource management, right? That's another area. We have a club that's focused in on that. And we're always looking to have more clubs because again, it's a great way for our students to come together with faculty, with people from industry, right? And it's a way to kind of build out that professional network, preparing them for the future. So, I think I mentioned, Dominic, that you were involved like with NUMA and the National Grocers Association competition. Again, I think that was a great opportunity where a team of our students went down to the NGA in Las Vegas, right? This was all paid for by the College of Business, right? And I wonder if you could speak more about that experience. What did it all entail? How did you prepare? And what was the value of that experience for you?
Yeah, so the NGA competition was an awesome experience, and pretty much what happened was there's the big association, they throw on a conference in Las Vegas every year. It's an annual conference, and one of the little subsets of the conference is the NGA competition. And what they do is they give multiple different schools a case competition, and then you get a little project research team put together and you try and do the competition as best as you can. And this year it was focused on like Clark's Market, which is a grocery store out of Colorado, and they wanted to become more sustainable and have a less environmental impact. So we had to come up with a solution on how to limit their waste as much as possible, but still keep their profit up. So yeah, and I think it was really valuable as like a student to go there and learn and not just be in a classroom, but like put it together and put it out in the real life. So.
Well, and I know too, you were super excited about meeting so many people in that industry, right? And you were talking about you kind of came back from that experience and you're talking to me about the idea of how can I go do more, more types of competitions, right? Whether it's, our CFA Society competition in finance, right? Or some of the other, we have the Fed Challenge, right? Which is a neat competition that we do in economics, right? There are, we have the game forum in finance as well, where people are trying to pick out, competing over like stock selection, right? I know that's something that's neat in our finance department where we have students who actively are managing part of our university's endowment. It's called the Mount Eagle Fund. And they've actually, outperformed our entire university's endowment and the S&P 500 the last few years. So again, really, I think all of our endowment should be run by our amazing students under the direction of our faculty. So speaking to that, Chase, if I can pull you back in, you've been involved with the Fed Challenge team this year, right? And so you went down to Washington and it was a great experience. In fact, I just saw you yesterday at our Lumsden McCormick case competition here in accounting. So you clearly, have no taste for, club competitions, right, in the College of Business. So I'm curious, how do you feel these prepare you, right, for that future, right, as a young professional in business? I think Dominic kind of has talked about that a little bit at the end of his story. I wonder if you could speak to that as well.
Well, I feel like my experience with these case competitions and academic competitions have really helped me hone my soft skills. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you're working in, whether it be accounting, marketing, human resources, etc., or what industry you work in, you're going to have to deal with people in some form or another. And I feel like these kind of help you get prepared for what that's like in a way. You have to figure out what your work style is and how it complements and clashes with those you're working with, how to compromise, how to sometimes argue it out to see a point, of course, respectfully and constructively, but it's teaches you what some of the situations you're probably going to find yourself in the working world.
No, I couldn't say more again. And it's thinking about, again, like the kind of going back to Brett's earlier point about internships, right? It's the direct application of what you're learning in the classroom, right? That preparation, you're putting that right in again in a meaningful way. And you're building into that a lot of, like the people, right, interpersonal skills that are, huge game changers for our students in terms of finding success in that future. So I really appreciate you bringing up that point. Again, I think that these types of competitions or our clubs are something that, I see like our most successful students, right? They really get themselves invested in. And it's something that I think we're encouraging all of our students, right, to get involved, right? Find a club, right? And that can be true even outside of just, the College of Business, right? I know many of you are involved with other clubs and groups all throughout the campus. Kind of like then moving on to like our last big topic for tonight, which is thinking about other ways that we try to be engaged, like how we engage our students, right? I think, one of those that Brett mentioned earlier on, I know several of you have gone to before, are our industry site visits, right? So we love to bring industry into our classrooms, right? Whether it's bringing speakers, to come to class to talk about, like areas that they're experts in, right? As a way to kind of see how the classroom relates to the real world. But I think for a lot of our students, what they really love is actually going out into industry. And we're constant. I feel like we're always doing a trip somewhere, right? Certainly I know just in like the last couple months, I had worked to with like some of my other colleagues to bring us grouped out to Rosina Foods. I believe Brett was on that trip, right? And we were able to see, kind of like many different dimensions of business applying in this big major food company, Rosina Foods, based here in Western New York. And I think that was a great way to see, again, one of the key industries we work with. I know Dom talked about that. I'm speaking to it now, that NU and our College of Business has, deep and important ties with the food industry. It's an area of a specialty for us. And I think that that's something that people don't realize how many amazing jobs are in that industry, and that we are like kind of like a great pathway to explore those opportunities. So I know we did that with Rosina. I know I had taken a group that, several, I know people, I think Dom was there, right? Certainly to Citibank. We took a group to M&T Bank's world headquarters. I know we were at, we had a group going to a couple warehouses, right? Earlier this year as part of our supply chain certification course that we offered. We're constantly trying to find ways to go out into industry. So Brett, maybe can you talk more about your participation in those tours, some of the tours you've done, and again, why you feel like this is a valuable thing that you want to keep doing?
Yeah, absolutely. The tours, basically, whenever there's one that somewhat interests me, I sign up for it immediately as soon as I see the email. Because like I mentioned earlier, I just really like getting out of the classroom and going to see things. One of the most memorable tours I remember us being on was my freshman year, so in 2020, oh my, 2023. We went to the Ford stamping plant down in Hamburg or South Buffalo, whatever that's considered. And that was really cool. That's what got me to change my major. So the tour, I didn't expect that was going to be what got me to spark a new interest, but I guess you never really know what you're going to get from them. So they're just super valuable, and I kind of take them whenever I can.
No, I can speak to that. I mean, as someone who kind of helps run a lot of the registration for our tours, I feel like Brett's one of the first people when I look at my Google form in terms of who's signing up. And I agree. I was on that Ford stamping plan. The size of those presses to make those different parts of the Ford F-150 and other I mean, it's just incredible to see that, like, in the flesh. Does anybody else want to speak to their experiences with the, like with industry visits? Again, I know Dom's done them before. I know Chase has done them before. Maybe I'm sure maybe Alexis or Shannon. But does anybody else want to share their experience?
Yeah, I can. So with accounting, we kind of do visits outside of the classroom. So a lot of times it might be after class or on a Saturday, and a lot of times it'll be the firm, an accounting firm, they'll run them, they'll invite our class, and we'll kind of just go. So it's a really cool opportunity to kind of go visit different accounting firms as well as industry sites. So whether it's a bank or similarly like the Ford stamping plant or some other kind of business. It's really kind of cool to see the behind the scenes as well as the atmosphere of a company or business. I like to say this is a lot of times an accounting thing, but I'm sure it's everybody thing. But you always kind of want to see if the work culture is something that you want to integrate yourself in, to see if it's something that you can envision yourself in. So it's really nice to just kind of see people working, doing mundane things, but kind of seeing if you can see yourself fit into it. It's also just kind of nice to get a little bit insight. A lot of times they kind of teach about different accounting things that you might not learn within the classroom. So it's kind of a fun thing to do.
No, that's such a great point, Alexis. I think talking to some of the students after visiting Rosina, a lot of them like it's a family owned, privately owned business, and they were like they could just feel the care and concern that management and the owners of that company had for their employees. And that was a huge thing for thinking, hey, reaching out to several faculty later on, hey, how can I connect to look, maybe a career there, an internship, because I want to be a part of that organization. And I think that's a key thing for why a lot of these great businesses want to work with us. They're more than happy to bring NU students out because again, they're looking for talent. They know NU students are some of the best, right? That these are students that are knowledgeable, but beyond that, like they not only know their stuff, but they're great with people, right? As everybody here on the call, I think can more just by their example can speak to. And so they want to bring us out because they want to find that, who's going to be their all-star employee in the future, whether it's Alexis, whether it's Brett, Chase, Shannon, Dominic, right? And many more of our students. I think, kind of moving from industry visits, several of you throughout our time tonight have talked about the importance of small class sizes, right? That's a hallmark here at Niagara University and certainly in the College of Business. Our average class size is 17. I think, like I teach, like intro level or freshman level microeconomics. So does Dr. Principe, right? And I think for us, like our biggest classes are maybe that freshman class, and that's going to be, 30, students. A lot of our classes are going to be smaller than that, right? It's going to be, somewhere in that 15, 18, 20 student range, right? So it really gives you a great opportunity to know your students on a deeper level, right? Understand what they're going through, how we can best support them, how we can tailor our education, right, to make sure that they're going to get what's necessary, right, for them to succeed and become the best version of themselves. And so I'm wondering if, for our students, maybe if you could talk about, some examples of how, like how professors have supported you, or you feel like, have helped, cared about you or tried to make sure that you're going to be successful. So, I mean, anybody who's willing to share their story. Do we have any takers?
I can take this one.
Perfect. Thank you, Shannon.
So as someone who grew up in a very small town, my graduating class was like 60 people. I knew I wanted to go to a small school, and so Niagara was perfect for that. And not only does the campus feel, it's a very homey feeling for me and for many others that I know where I am. I'm not taking a bus halfway across campus to get to my next class. It's right there. I see people I know while I'm walking to class, and then we'll probably have class together. Or I remember I would meet someone in class and then I saw them all over campus within the next week. And it's just a family vibe here. And what's really nice about a small school is that your professors and the faculty here, they know you by name and you're not just a number. I remember, this is me specifically, but a few years ago when I graduated undergrad, I really wasn't sure what was going to be the next step for me. I didn't know if I was moving back home or what I was going to stay in the Buffalo area. And over the summer, I'm putting you on the spot, Frescator, but I got a call from the dean. And after the initial, oh no, what did I do now? He said, hey, I've got a job opportunity for you if you're interested, which you're not going to get that at a bigger school. They know you by name here. They know who you are and what you're interested in, and they can really help you succeed. And I love it here. Clearly, I haven't left, so.
Thank you, Shannon. And again, I'm not surprised. I think like the dean, everybody, right? We want what's best for our students, right? Does anybody else have a story, right, or something that they could speak to? Again, how they feel faculty have supported them, or how again, like the advantage of like our smaller, tight knit environment, right? Because I often think that we're a family here in the college, and certainly NU, all across NU.
I'll say something.
Perfect. Thank you, Dom.
Of course. So yeah, I'm finance. So Dr. Tiedemann, you've actually been like one of my favorite professors here, and me and you have grown to have a close relationship, and I come to you and I talk to you a lot. So you're one of my favorite professors. Professor Huger, he's an awesome professor, and he's easy to talk to, and I didn't know if I wanted to go to a small classroom college coming out of high school, and then because I didn't know if it was going to really matter, and then coming here and actually seeing it and interacting with all the professors, it is a lot better than the big classroom lecture styles. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Dom. And again, it's been an absolute privilege, right, to work with. I mean, you're such a great student. I know. I feel like you've grown. I love seeing students like Dom, right, who are go-getters, right? Like they have questions, like they're gonna reach out. I'll get emails from Dom being like, hey, can I quick stop by? I want to run something by you, right? And I wish more, all of our students were like Dom, and I mean many are, right? But it's like something that because it gives you. I think that's one of the greatest things teaching at a place like Niagara is that I can see students, and I'm sure Dr. Prinsby can see students, and certainly the dean sees students, right, from when they walk in early on, all throughout their time, right, to graduation and out into the future, right? And if I was teaching or if we were at a different place, right, we might see them at one stage, freshmen, maybe in the middle of their time at a college, but we can actually see students, right, grow, flourish, right, become these incredible young professionals, right, who are going to go out and take the world on fire. And I think that's probably the most satisfying part of working here and being at NU and being in this culture. I'm sure I'd love to have everyone's input, but I know like we're kind of short on time near the end. So I want to thank all of our students, right, for being a part, for sharing their stories, because again, that's way more interesting than what I have to say personally. But I think this whole evening has been really useful in talking about some of the 4 big key points I'd like to think about or kind of highlight for the College of Business, right? For the Holzschuh College of Business here at Niagara University, right? First, I think of us as being high quality. That relates to the fact that we are double ACSB accredited, right? So you can take that as like, we're a pretty elite group, the top 5% of business schools worldwide. And we're coming up with, cutting edge technology, classroom facilities, right, programs. We're doing everything we can to be keeping up and making sure that we're designing an educational experience for what employers want, right, to get the best outcomes for our students. Second, we're career focused, right? You heard that tonight with like whether it's our career fair and expo, if it's our focus and how much we care about mentorships and internships, and also, right, we're experiential, right? As this event, the title mentioned, that really kind of links up with career focused. But that we see that with going out to plants, right? Industry visits. If it's bringing industry into the classroom, if it's our clubs and the different competitions that all of these great students have been involved in. And many other things, right? It's also, the really cool study abroad, transformative study abroad programs that the dean and many of our students have taken part in. And then finally, I think of us like as a family, right? I think that we're here for everyone's success, right? And that's something that we only have because of our small class size, because of the culture here at NU. So I want to be able to turn it over briefly to Miss Allison Boland, the Senior Associate Director of Admissions here at the Niagara. We're so glad to have her here on the call. And if she has any suggestions, right, for people who are interested in applying, next steps, right? I know we have some students maybe they've been accepted, and it's how to get to that point of being a student here, either next year in the near future, or no matter where they are along that journey.
I think you just said it all. Thanks for joining us tonight. Obviously, our current students are a wealth of knowledge, and that's really where, high school students are looking. They want to know what kids are doing every day, and that experiential learning is so important. Depending on where you are in the process, if you're a senior and you've already, applied and been admitted to The university, you know, the next steps are to, if you so choose to make the right move and choose Niagara, you can go right online and deposit right in your application portal. It's pretty simple. And if you have questions or, you know, are not sure how to do that, certainly any admissions counselor would be your advocate and someone who would be there to help you. I can certainly help you as well. If you're not, maybe you're, you know, a junior, sophomore, and just starting to start the process, definitely come visit us at Niagara and see if it's a place where you would really, you know, thrive. We have visits every day except for Sunday, and we have a ton of open houses coming up. We're going to be super busy this summer with Saturday visits, open houses, evening events, and then throughout the fall. One thing I should mention to juniors, if you are a current junior, we do have a really unique visit scholarship that you want to take advantage of. It's called Eagle Experience. If you visit between now and Halloween, and then you apply between now and Halloween, it's an automatic $5,000. You don't have to fill anything out. You don't have to do anything. It's just automatic. So certainly something that students who didn't take advantage of it last year wish they would have at this point when they're receiving their financial aid packages and things like that. So certainly something to keep in mind. I don't think we could be any easier to apply to. We're free application on the Common App. We also have our own application online through, you know, Niagara, through our website, niagara.edu. And we're all here to support and help you and be your advocate. So don't ever hesitate. If you do receive a text or an email from an admissions counselor, certainly respond. We work in the we work in the, you know, the Department of Admissions, not the denial department. So we really want to help and support you. And we're here to do that. So if you need anything, I'll put my contact information in the chat. Certainly feel free to send me an email or reach out to us. Our website is new and beautiful. Please take advantage. There's so much on there and great resources. And I think that's pretty much it for me. Does anybody have any questions about anyone that's on here? Does anyone want to ask a question to any students or any of us? There it is. I don't even have to do it. Thanks, Craig.
And also, oh yeah, I was going to say too, if I can, just again, if you're reaching out with any questions besides the course right now, right, please reach out to anybody on our team, whether again it's Allison or whoever your admissions counselor might be, if you know who that is. Certainly myself, and I have my information here. Kelly Asklar is our assistant dean, and she's the mom of the college. She's, you know, such a great resource, happy to help, especially with questions on like transfer credits, all sorts of things. And again, whether it's our beautiful new website, if it's our social media in the college and at NU, we have a podcast, right? NU Biz Talk. You can hear from even more students. So again, I want to show that up there, but yes, if we have any questions, let's please turn that over to any of our guests tonight. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything. So
we nailed it.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to all of the students. Thank you to Dean Frascatore and Dr. Principe, to Ms. Boland. And again, please reach out if you have any questions, right? Because we really want to be a resource to you. Because I know you can be just as amazing as all of the great students that joined us tonight and talking about their experience and everything they've had being here in the Holzschuh College of Business. So thank you all so much.